Here's my top 10 wide receivers going forward for the rest of the season. Number 10 is Chris Olave from New Orleans. This is my surprise entrance into top 10. He's underperformed this year, but he had very high expectations coming into the season with Derek Carr taking over at quarterback. And I think that the difficulties that they've had will probably turn around. I expect that to improve. Olave's had a very high target rate for the year, and I'm just going to make this my play on respecting his talent. Number 9 is Cooper Kupp. He came into the season again with very high expectations, but has been questionable since his injury, and he's only played really in 4 games. He's had 2 great weeks and 2 weeks where he wasn't even in the top target for Stafford. But I'll put him at number 9 based on the expectations and the 2 good weeks he's had to show he still has the talent. His poor performance could be explained by Stafford's health. Coming in at number 8 is Justin Jefferson from Minnesota. I think he's ready to come off the IR soon, probably within the next 2 weeks. When he was healthy, his PPR was over 22, which was really good play, and he certainly came into the season as a top wide receiver. There's some risk with Dobbs replacing Cousins as his quarterback, so that's why I don't put him into the top 5, but where I would definitely have him if Cousins were still available. Number 7 is Keenan Allen from the Chargers. He's a good, steady performer at over 20 PPR, and he has breakout capability. Herbert's a good passing quarterback, and there really isn't a lot of competition with number 2 receiver Quentin Johnson. Just really hasn't caught on this year. The Chargers are an offensive-minded team, so I think Allen will be able to continue his good play. Number 6, CeeDee Lamb from Dallas. He's played very well the last 2 weeks. In fact, last week he was wide receiver 1. He has the highest catch rate of all wide receivers at 82%, and he's really the main target on a good team all around. You have a pretty easy schedule for the last half of the season, so Lamb comes in at 6. Number 5 is Amon-Ra St. Brown from Detroit. He's the number 1 receiver on the Lions by a very large margin. He's had over 100 yards on 5 of the last 6 weeks. So it's been a consistent production. And I like Goff as quarterback. He throws nearly 50 attempts per game. And so I think there'll be a lot of opportunity for Amon-Ra to keep his production up. They have a pretty easy schedule over the last half of the year, which will help as well. Number 4 is Ja'Marr Chase from Cincinnati. Now, he had a slow start to the season a little bit, but 2 of the last 3 weeks, he's been one of the top 5 quarterbacks. Burrows and the team is really on a roll, and I think that will show up in Ja'Marr Chase's production. And they also have an easier schedule to end the season. As we get into the top 3, I had a little difficulty between 2 and 3, but ended up putting Stephon Diggs from Buffalo as number 3. He has produced well at 22 PPR for the year. He's number 1 in targets of all wide receivers with 90. And with Josh Allen throwing to him a lot, that makes for a very good wide receiver. He slowed down a bit the last 2 weeks, and so that's why I had him come behind my number 2 pick, which was A.J. Brown from Philadelphia. He has really been playing well. He's had over 130 yards the last 6 weeks at an almost 80% catch rate. 3 of the last 5 weeks, he was a top 10 wide receiver, and the Philadelphia is the top team in the NFC, so I think Brown is going to continue on with that. So I had him come in at number 2. Now, number 1, you can probably guess since I haven't come up with him yet, and to me this was easy. It's Tyreek Hill from the Miami Dolphins. His PPR at 26.5 is significantly higher than any of the other wide receivers in the league. He has the most yards and the most touchdowns of any wide receiver. He's been a top 4 wide receiver in 6 of the 8 weeks of the season. And he was only 1 week has he not had a touchdown, so he's a real touchdown machine. The Miami is certainly a passing first team, and they have the most yards, with Tui having the most yards of any quarterback. So I think a lot of those yards are going to continue to go to Tyreek. I think his usage has increased over last year when he and Waddle were much closer to a split, but this year I think there's significantly more usage by Tyreek, and I don't see any reason for this to change. So there's my top 10 wide receivers looking forward for the rest of the season. Hope this helps some of your planning.